And welcome to What You Gotta Say. As always, I want to bring in my co host, Eric Dawson, star of The Eric Dawson Show. He hails out of North Jersey. Eric, say hello to everybody.
Hey guys, how are you? I'm glad you guys are spending time with us on a Saturday, right?
Yes. Well, this is a special Zoom link because we've got some really great guests, great bunch of people. So I want to pose this question to you, Eric.
Yep.
What is the single most common denominator leading to 56% in high school dropout, leading to 42% of black people dealing with alcohol and substance abuse, leading to 73% of black men dealing with the criminal justice system, leading to 48% of black men having premarital sex and children under the age of 18.
The
What is
absence, the absence of a father.
That's right. And we're going to dive into that. Now, we're going to take a quick break and I'm going to bring in our expert, Fred Witten from the 100 Black Men. We'll be back in 1 minute, 10 seconds.
You opened a small business. That's a great way to have generational wealth. If you're a minority business, you may be struggling to keep your head above water. Why? In 2019, the Black community spent $1.5 trillion because the Black dollar lifespan, 28 days Asian communities, 19 days Jewish communities, 6 hours a month in the Black communities. Major brands target the Black media, TV, and radio. That's why Blacks are brand shoppers. That's why they get a big slice of that $1 trillion pie. Your business needs exposure. You got quotes from cable networks and local radio. They charge a lot of money for a little exposure. Networking and social media is a full-time job to get part-time money. Let's look at a successful Black business model. Remember Soul Train? It was a new Black TV show that Johnson Cosmetics increased the exposure of Afro Sheen and made billions of dollars for Bobby Johnson. Where are you gonna find a good show for a low price? We have a talk show called What You Got to Say. What You Got to Say is a Black-owned talk show streaming live on YouTube channels, Facebook Live. What You Got to Say has a diverse audience from 18 to 62 years old, and their gross income range from $32,000 to $122,000 a year. That exposure will get you a good slice of the $1.5 trillion. Tell us about your business. Maybe able to get on our Black-owned spotlight. In 4 weeks, your business can go from surviving to thriving. To find out how you can get what's yours, email sales@squiresignage.com. They're waiting to hear what you got to say.
And we're back. So, Eric, those numbers that I post, why do you think we have that?
Why do we have the numbers, or why do we not have fathers?
Let's start with why we don't have fathers.
Well, so you know where I'm going with all of this.
Bring it.
for Black people, it's always Black Americans. It's always important for us to understand the dynamic here in America. The dynamic here in America is that our ancestors were brought here and enslaved to be the commodity to the wealth and to the power of the corporation white supremacy. So every single thing that happens adversely to Black people is a direct result of that dynamic. So you have the corporation white supremacy that is always trying to maintain their status, their position, and trying to keep us marginalized and the commodity to their wealth and their power. So when we see what's going on, it is a direct result of policies, it's a direct result of all of those things.
Well, let's look at some policies that actually separated the Black man. Unemployment during the period of the New Deal and the quote unquote birth and understanding of government aid, typically called welfare. It was illegal. And they actually searched homes that the Black fathers could not be in homes so that families could eat off of welfare. Let's look at a few other policies. You know what? Right now, it's easier where the divide is getting so bad that young Black men getting graduates or I'm sorry, undergraduates and above is decreasing, while the younger Black women, the numbers for them getting graduates, I'm sorry, undergrad graduates and even doctors are increasing. Why the big divide? I got some questions. Now, on this show, I like to bring in people who are a lot smarter than me. So let me introduce Fred Whiting of the 100 Black Men. Fred, are you there?
I'm right here, sir.
All right. Fred, first, let's qualify you. Now, before you were the president of the 100 Philadelphia chapter, what was your profession?
Oh, well, my background comes in education. I focus on um, high school education, vice principal, teacher. I became a therapist. My master's degree is in counseling, and my undergraduate degree is in education.
Wow, not only is he smart, but he's got the paper to prove it. Okay.
Well,
So, as my co-host said, the corporation of white supremacy, is it to cripple the Black family by eliminating the Black man?
well, the Black man has always been the target of breaking up the Black family. To put him in jail, to not educate him, to marginalize him, to make him look bad in front of other people. These are things that have traditionally been happening throughout his time here in America. So as we move on, we have to use our skills, our resources, and we have to come together as a unit. One of the things that we've done in the time that I've been around is to focus on that effort.
Okay, so so why is it so difficult right now for young Black men to survive or thrive in a female-dominated household?
Well, all you got to do is read the Willie Lynch letter in the making of a slave.
In the making of the slave, let me quote that one.
Yes.
You must, above all, separate them. You must pit the young Black bull against the old Black male. You must pit the male against the female. You must put the young female against the old female and the young female against the young Black male. But most of all, they must love us. It is imperative that in this, that they love us and us only.
So the biggest challenge is our lack of understanding, our communal lack of understanding of the dynamic that is at play here in America. And so now when you look and you see that the majority of people don't understand what you just said, don't understand that they hear systemic, but they don't really understand it, that this thing is deep and ingrained. It is the very DNA of this country.
Oh,
And so it's baked, like they say, it's baked into it. And so to try to deal with it or to combat it on a surface level is futile. You we have to restructure the very DNA of this country for the things that we hope for to actually exist.
Fred, help me out.
Well, a lot of things have changed and a lot of things have stayed the same. I agree with Eric 100%. Right now, there's a level of self hatred. Back in the 50s, I'm sure you could see that this has infected us so much, this level of self hate, that we changed the style of our hair. We didn't like, we got processes. We started hating on each other. And in that regard, it transpired a deeper sense of weakness, self-righteousness. And so as we move on, there had to be a movement. There had to be a movement to break that cycle. And that cycle came to me in the early 60s when we started recognizing our beauty.
Say it loud.
Okay, that's just one thing. That's one
Yes.
thing. It happened over and over again with our hairstyles, with the fists, calling each other brother, surface activities and behaviors that made us want to at least look like we're coming together. That
Mhm.
self-hatred was still inside of us. That suppression from society was still on us. But I think that as we started at the beginning and everything starts with a first step. And as we started with this first step, we took another and another. Now, Brother Joel Austin is on the line too, and I'm sure that he can expand on many of the things that I've just laid groundwork for.
Okay,
Joel?
we're going to bring him on in just a second because there are a few other issues that we'd like to talk about. One of the things that we talked about in a future show, which you just expressed, the anti-black. We have been beat in the head so much about black people being so negative that we have been against ourselves. In fact, the quote that they call them in the Willie Lynch letters are Negro whisperers.
Well, we're still so don't use the past tense. We are currently being messaged those same things by the media, by the curriculum in the schools. All of this is active. This is like it's an active thing that's happening right now. And the other thing, Vincent, that we quote is Malcolm X, who says what? He says only,
Only a
Only
fool will let his enemy educate his child.
but we have not fully embraced the fact that we have an enemy. We haven't done that yet.
No, we haven't embraced the fact that white people are still fighting the war between the North and South.
Yeah, we haven't embraced that. And so we talked about this before. We got caught up and you know, in some respects, I say thank God for Donald Trump because we got caught up because we got caught up for 8 years in thinking that we were in some post-racial America, right? And now we realize, some of us in a deeper way than others, that we're far from that. And in fact, we realize that 74 million Americans, right, believe his promotion of white supremacy.
Well, let's
And
look
so
at
now that is the America we live in. And so it is incumbent upon us on a daily basis, or not even day, we got to be more micro that on a minute by minute basis. We have to reach and touch everybody we can in the black community and let them know clearly what we're fighting against. We need
okay.
all hands on deck.
Fred, tell me, what when did you become a member of the 100?
Oh my goodness. I became a member of the original 100 here in Philadelphia in the 90s. However, during that time, the stability of the chapter was not as strong as it needed to be, and it became dormant. It fell asleep for a long time, and then it emerged again, I would say around 2002, okay, when another brother and I went down to Florida and resurrected the chapter. From then, we came back here to Philadelphia, rolled up our sleeves, and started recruiting other brothers with like mindset to help change the dynamic of how young Black men think. Okay, so we focused on, and it was a tough road. It was like pledging. It was like basic training. It was very, very tough. It was very tough. But the commitment, sometimes you have to make a commitment no matter what to see it through. And as we held hands and moved forward, we got another good brother. We got another good brother. And as time went by, we emerged to the point where we are right now.
Wow. Okay, so the 100 is based on four pillars, correct?
Five.
Five pillars. Good. So what are those five pillars?
It's economic empowerment, education, um, mentoring. Help me out, fellas.
Ah, sorry.
Mentoring, um,
Somebody send them a text. No. I'll tell you what.
leadership, leadership,
Leadership,
leader,
yes.
leadership, and one more. Um, Somebody help me out.
We're going to come back. All right, we're going to take a break. And as Fred talked about, uh, we're going to bring on the people who have taken it from where Fred left and accelerated it. So we're going to bring on some of the pillars of the community, the 100 Black Men of Philadelphia, in just 1 minute, 10 seconds.
You opened a small business. That's a great way to have generational wealth. If you're a minority business, you may be struggling to keep your head above water. Why? In 2019, the Black community spent $1.5 trillion because the Black dollar lifespan, 28 days Asian communities, 19 days Jewish communities, 6 hours a month in the Black communities. Major brands target the Black media, TV, and radio. That's why Blacks are brand shoppers. That's why they get a big slice of that $1 trillion pie. Your business needs exposure. You got quotes from cable networks and local radio. They charge a lot of money for a little exposure. Networking and social media is a full-time job to get part-time money. Let's look at a successful Black business model. Remember Soul Train? It was a new Black TV show that Johnson Cosmetics increased the exposure of Afro Sheen and made billions of dollars for Bobby Johnson. Where are you going to find a good show for a low price? We have a talk show called What You Got to Say. What You Got to Say is a Black-owned talk show streaming live on YouTube channels, Facebook Live. What You Got to Say has a diverse audience from 18 to 62 years old, and their gross income range from $32,000 to $122,000 a year. That exposure will get you a good slice of the $1.5 trillion. Tell us about your business. Maybe able to get on our Black-owned spotlight. In 4 weeks, your business can go from surviving to thriving. To find out how you can get what's yours, email sales@squiresignage.com. They're waiting to hear what you got to say.
Okay, we're back. And I got Fred Whiting from the 100 Black Men of Philadelphia. So, Fred, after you got it for a little while, you started getting some really high quality members. How did that happen?
Perseverance. Then, and I can answer that question in one word: perseverance. There were many called, few were chosen. I hate to sound like the Marine Corps, but that's exactly what took place. Many brothers stepped up to the plate who thought they were ready, but when the work came down for them to do, they were nowhere to be found. But you have to persevere. And as I persevered, I believe that the Lord has sent me people who are committed and are intelligent and are visionary. And one of the people that he sent to me was a young man named Joel Wilson. Joel Wilson is highly talented and gifted. When he came into the chapter, it was almost like a relay race. When I gave him the baton, he dashed off like Usain Bolt. and start coming up with ideas and refining procedures that the chapter has, being a no nonsense person, cutting away the chaff so we could really see the purity of where we needed to go. From that came other brothers of like mindset. So it's not easy being a leader, but he's one of the best ones that I have seen.
You mean like mindset like you and Joel Wilson, or the like mindset of we just like women with a big butt and a smile?
No, those things are saved for the nightclub. This brother is this brother is deeply committed and shows his commitment every day as no days go by without him doing something for the chapter.
Well, let's bring the brothers in. I want to introduce to some, present to others, the 100 Black Men of Philadelphia. Uh, Chapter President Joel Wilson. And okay, and the award winner is Joel Austin. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Oh, and by the way, the recruiter extraordinaire, Arthur Maximilian Wells III.
Where's the applause at? Seriously, where's the applause?
Strong J, Strong J.
Chapter of the year, by the way.
Small chapter of the year. That was no tiny feat.
No, sir. I'm proud of these guys, Vince. I'm proud of these guys. Before the chapter came to be strong, I knew these guys in another light, like Joel Austin. Joel Austin has been mentored by me for years. And as a result, has a successful attitude and company that helps the 100 Black Men grow.
Joel.
Yep.
Yep.
Let's hear it. This is the quietest I've heard Joel Wilson in a while.
So good evening, everyone. First, I just want to say it's been an honor to be a member here in the chapter. And I just really see the value in what the mission of the 100 Black Men. So it's an honor being involved. I just want to speak to some of the stuff that Fred said. Fred, I definitely thank you for the accolades and all that. But I have to say the change in the chapter, the direction and the growth, that credit doesn't come to me. That credit goes to Brother Kevin Davis, who is not on the line. So it was Kevin, when he was brought in, he saw the potential of the chapter and he went and recruited. So Kevin recruited Joel Austin. Kevin recruited me and he recruited other brothers. And once we got that group in, then we were able to really seal the ship up and turn it from, a raft to an ocean liner that can bring on, the new members, the new mentees and things like that. So I just want to clear that up. I can't let that be said and Kevin not get that credit.
Okay, Joel, how did you win the award?
How did we win? So we won the chapter, to win the chapter of the year for 2020. It really was the work that was put in 2019. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I take the wrong question?
No, it was the wrong Joel. Joel Austin, how did you win?
We won 2 awards, so we each won an award, so it's all good.
Start jumping in.
You got to jump in, Joel. How'd you win?
What are you talking about? We got so many. Like, which award are you talking about?
That's true, because I understand that people are afraid to take on Philadelphia in terms of Black history.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
That's right.
That's right. How many times did we win?
Bad things happen in Philadelphia, Vince.
The bad things happen in Philadelphia consist of you guys right here.
Okay. I think we won it like at least 2 in a row, 3 in a row.
We won 2 in a row, but I think overall we won it at least 3, maybe 4 times.
Right.
Wow. Right. Okay. So how do you prepare for a win? How do you get these guys to win?
So it's a lot of studying. So during our mentoring programs, we meet on Saturdays. There's an official book that comes from National, and the young folks are literally reading the book. They have to read it, and then they're quizzed on it. We have coaches that help them with it. The book that they read last year was called 100 Amazing Facts of the Negro, originally written by J.A. Rogers. Actually, Joel A. Rogers. So Joel's is running it.
Joe, when you need it done right, get it to him.
Get a Joel. Okay. Well, first, let's look at the awards that you guys have won for 2019. What
Mhm.
were they?
Well, in 2019, we won second place for African American History Challenge. We won second place for hands-on banking. And I think those were the two. That's for 2019. And then 2020, there was a new set of things that we won.
Okay. So, Joel, I was there and this because of COVID, National was held on Zoom. I was there when Joel Austin accepted the award. Joel, you had a look on your face. Care to elaborate that?
I was on vacation in Florida. I was the only one in a t-shirt, but my t-shirt said that I was ancestor approved, so I felt like it was all right. But I was absent. The thing about it is you keep talking about that word persistence and perseverance and Fred is absolutely right. Like my friend Joel Wilson has been my friend. We've been friends before we even knew about the 100. And we've been doing this and we've been doing that and we've been trying to chip into solving solution and being solution oriented, and that has been something that we've never let up at. So when we actually got the awards for small chapter, I mean, I was just taken, and then I ended up getting a Trailblazer award for bringing some things to the table. It's easy to talk about something and bring something to the table. It's rare that you get everybody on board to say, make it happen. Make it happen and we'll back you. And that's what happened. And so I was in shock. I was still in shock. I felt like, one of those Oscar award winners. I was ready to scream or something like that in my head. Bro. Like, how you doing? Like it
You
was
were ready to thank Meryl Streep.
and then it was a two-piece because then we went back on stage and got like chapter of the year. I was like, okay. So I gave a speech. Now I'm ready to go back. So it was awesome. It was awesome.
I also think it's important to know that the chapters in this network is not 20 or 30 or 40. There are 117 chapters around the country and in London and overseas. So this is not a small time activity. This is really a major, powerful event. And hats off to all the brothers in the house whose first name is Joel.
Well, on behalf of all the non-Joel brothers.
Right.
Okay, so tell us, what are you doing to change the lives of these young black men?
J-Dub, you first.
So mentoring is crucial. And mentoring, it does not require a PhD. It doesn't, you don't have to have read the Iliad or, it doesn't require anything super. What it requires a man to be consistent with the time and effort that they are spending with young folks, and try and be willing to try their best to point them in a positive direction. One of the problems we have in the Black community right now is we have grown men who are using their influence on younger folks for nefarious means.
Whoa. Break that down.
So, recently DMX came out and he talked about that when he was either 12 or 14, a young guy, and he had basically a mentor, an older guy he thought was looking out for him, introduced him into the rap game. But he introduced DMX to crack. And that's how he got started. And so now DMX is roughly 50 and he's still addicted. So he gave this boy this lifelong trauma that he's been dealing with. Just think about what DMX probably could have accomplished if he didn't have that. I mean, that's like one of the worst things. And then if you look at it on the flip side, when you have men like Fred and like Brother Austin and Max, and who pour, the positive into these young men, then that's when you see the fruit where these young men, they grow up and they have good families. They grow up and they start businesses. They grow up, and when the community says, hey, we need someone to donate to the Little League football, basketball, they step up and they do it. So our role is key. Our motto, what they see is what they'll be. And that's key for us to have that image and be true to it. You can't be trying to get some young boy out here, to sell drugs for you in a corner and you think you're doing something.
Okay.
And that
Well,
was, yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead,
Oh
Joe.
yeah, on that, what the 100 Black Men was doing, I mean, Joel Wilson is absolutely correct. One thing we realized is that what we did was pull young men either off the block, we pull them out of the school, and we pull them out of the home into our circle. On the other hand, we decided to start a parent academy because we realized they eventually had to go, Vince, they eventually had to go home. And we
Right.
needed to also make sure home was speaking our language. Home had some morals that we thought about. Home had some values. So we work on home because there are a lot of times, and I hate to say this, our parents are a lot of the problem. They have fathers in their home, but sometimes they're not speaking the right way. They have mothers in the home, but sometimes the mothers are trying to emasculate more than build them up. So we had to attack this twofold, and we started doing it. And here you are, chapter of the year.
Fred,
Yes.
how difficult was it for the transition?
Which transition?
You are now taking kids, young impressionable men off the streets. Now, the last survey, you know what young impressionable Black men want to be?
Of course. However, when they also have a thirst for positiveness, they have a thirst for that. And when they come, I could see this happening. When these young boys come around us,
They
they're a
know it.
little bit,
Yeah.
a little bit distrustful. They're a little bit distrustful. However, when we meet them on their level and we pledge ourselves to them and we engage in conversations that are relative to what they think and get their opinion, a lot of times we lecture at young boys instead of asking them what their opinions are on things. When we engage in that kind of exchange, they realize that we're sincere. But up front, they're very distrustful because they've been betrayed so many times. That's why you hear me say all the time, if you get into 100 Black Men, you must stay. You must make a commitment to see that young boy all the time. Otherwise, you're guilty of what society has been doing to them all along, which is leading them up and then letting them go. Leading them up and then letting them go. And wouldn't you feel the same way if somebody did that to you? Of course. It would make you bitter, distrustful, suspicious, and not really want to go with the proper way, but to go with the easiest way out. Very, very easy. But you have to be sincere. You have to be sincere and committed. That's
They
the
know
main
from the
thing
first
everybody needs to know.
When you guys engage these, what is the age range of the young men that you guys engage?
So we start with young folks in first grade. So we go from first grade to 12th grade. Now that's our youth focused mentoring program. But then we have programs that focus on college students. So, you could be a young man in college. We have programs that focus just you being young. So if you from 18 to 29, we have programs that focus on that age group. Our national motto is mentoring over a lifetime. So we look at Fred, we affectionately call Fred an OG. OG stands for older gentleman. So the OGs in the chapter, they're mentoring brothers like Joel Austin. They're mentoring brothers like myself, because although we are in our mid part of life in our 50s, we still need mentoring and help to navigate us through. We haven't seen 60 yet. We don't know what those challenges are. So that's why brothers like Fred. So we all need mentoring. So it's we all need it. So, but our youth programs, we focus on that first to 12th grade. And I'm gonna tell you, I've heard so many myths about young Black boys in that first to third and what they will do, and we keep falling into that nonsense. We got young boys first to third grade who are actively interested in reading, in writing, in dialoguing, and talking about what they want to do in the future. But the brother that we have on there, who is their mentor, Taj, who is a young man, 26, in school right now to get his PhD, he's demonstrated all those things that those young boys love. They love being on the line with him. I was on a call. I jumped in there today to see what was going on. It was just incredible. These kids wrote a story in a 90-minute time period today. And you listen to these school systems, all these young boys, you can't do nothing with them. They won't write, they won't read. And then even our own community, they'll say that the only thing these boys want to do is play football, play basketball, or video games. All that are myths. Is what are you doing with those young men? These young men are brilliant. They are geniuses, and it's up to us to bring that out of them.
How do you guys track? So you said from first to 12th, and then you have other programs which are dealing with them or mentoring or engaging them at a college level. So if I were to say, let's start with a first grader, right? And so now where you started with him when he was in the first grade, and let's say now he's in the 8th grade or 9th grade, can you just, so that I have an understanding, and maybe people who are listening, what is a life for that young man look like as he's being mentored and with 100 Black men? Do you know what I'm trying to get to? So you got him at first grade, and then in 8th grade, what was that? How does that journey look? And then how do you track what you're doing with him and then the other ones as well?
So personally, I can only speak to about a 3 to 4 year window because that's my tenure in the program.
Okay.
Brother Fred can talk in a more longitudinal type way, but we have programs that feed each other. So in that first to third grade, the studies will tell you the number one problem with Black boys is they cannot read.
Right.
That is what causes all the other problems. You start out the program with the stats.
Also, their reading level is determined upon the state and how many prisons that they're opening up or closing because of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the 30 million word gap, right? That you're attacking, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, but our response, the society's response for Black boys is when we have Black boys that can't read, they say we're going to put them in a basketball program. How is that going to help them to read? They'll even say, I'm going to put them in a basketball program, and they do reading on the side. And I just simply ask, well, when the kids in, Bala Cynwyd, which is an affluent area here near Philly, when the white kids in Bala Cynwyd can't read, do you put them in basketball or do you put them in a reading program? So the answer is obvious.
Right.
So we should not be trying to get our young boys to be proficient in math, proficient in science, proficient in reading by putting it in basketball. So we've got to be real specific and direct, and we got to attack it directly.
Fred, you're an educator. Why does that happen?
Oh my goodness. Because there's a lack of awareness. There's a lack of awareness and a lack of commitment. Every human being who walks the planet has 4 areas that they focus on: physical, intellectual, emotional, and social. And Eric asked a question a few seconds ago. He said, Fred, how do you track, how do you find out whether they're growing or not? Physically, they're going to, if they eat every day, they're going to grow. We show them how to handle that growth in a positive way. So when they come to see us, we actually put them through calisthenics. This is Saturday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they're still walking sleepy. And so we have to, first of all, feed them and get them to physically start to move that body. Once that blood starts to go, then we focus on the intellectualism, the intellectual development of the person. However, what drives everything is your emotions. If your emotions are strong, that means that you will do that physical thing easily. You will be looking forward to reading. You will be looking forward to seeing your friends. Eric also said, what does it look like as they start to get older? As they start to get older, these young people who start to develop in these areas I've mentioned, turn into mentors themselves. So when a new student comes into the program, the experienced, not older, the experienced student says, this is how we do things here in the program. And just like a basketball team, just like your people on the block, just like a gang, it is a subset of standards that the young people infuse into each other. So we have young people acting as mentors while we have adults acting as mentors. And all of this synergy develops into a stronger overall development of all of the children. And these children sometimes teach us, because I can tell you, I don't know anything about Twitter or I don't know anything about
how you
that.
making out with that new math, Fred?
I don't look, man. I don't know what you call my mama. Okay, because I have no idea. But so this exchange empowers young people to make them feel that they bring something to the table that is appreciated. And we see this all the time.
Okay, Austin, real quick. Let's look at the principles, or the pillars and the curriculum. How do you get young black men involved in the ideal of the pillars of the 100? Did we lose him?
Yeah, I don't see him. So
Okay.
yeah, I was going to ask the same question. What does your outreach look like?
A lot of times until Joel will be back on in a few seconds, I'm sure. But until he comes on, I just want to say it's the adage or the typical cliche, each one teach one. And while we can go and talk to the principals and talk to the teachers and talk to the parents, a lot of times these young people are talking to each other and say, come on, you got a friend, Eric. And if your friend came to you and said, I want you to go to this specific dentist, out of all the dentists in the world, you would first of all say, okay, because you trust that person. You trust that person. So you would go to that dentist first to see if he could service you. And that doesn't make that's not too much of a change the way we all travel through word of mouth because we trust our friends.
Okay.
You see.
Hey, Fred, let me jump in and just talk a little bit about the tracking. So, from a systematic standpoint, we actually have an attendance system that the students will key in when we're doing our sessions. And one of the nice things that the attendance system actually captures is there's a question in it that asks, what do you want to do in the future? And so we actually have a list of professions that are there that they can select. And there's a purpose for that because we have so many opportunities for internships and programs and grants. So as we collect the information, then we can give that individual help to that student. One of the things I want to mention is that all of the programs we do for the youth are actually free to the family. So the programs we do, these are not free programs. Much of this stuff is extremely expensive to do, but there's no cost on the family that's participating, that's getting the benefit. So when our students get into that, actually from about 6th grade up, many of our programs have money and monetary incentives attached to it. Like they can get stock certificates. They literally can get a certificate that they can buy stock, Netflix, Google, whatever their choice. They just have to go through the program, and at the end, they can win laptop computers. It's a whole lot of stuff that they can win. When they get in high school, we have these national competitions, and it is some serious money. So when we talked about, we had our African American history team came in first place in 2018. Those students in high school won $3,000. When they came in second place, they came in second place in 2019, they won $1,000. So these are real dollars. When they won in hands-on banking, when they came in second place, that was $1,000 for that event. So we have a bunch of events.
Whoa. You're teaching kids banking and not how to get a rush card?
Banking, investing. Listen, you can get some stock tips from some of our students.
That's
now.
Right. That's right.
So,
Amen.
And here, you're coming out of high school and you have in your pocket a few $1,000s, and then you can apply to the 100 Black Men College scholarships.
So some of your kids have stock portfolios.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
Hmm.
And they didn't put up and it's in one of the programs that we are starting in January, the hands-on banking program. One of the features in the program is that the student, it's designed for the student to save up to $200. They can save more, but the goal is 200. With that 200 that they save, our national grant is going to match it. So they're going to get another 200 by saving the 200. And what we're doing for that first 200, because we have families that we know they're not going to be able to help that kid save the 200. We have incentives in our programs. By you participating, you're going to earn money from our local chapter that now can be put in the account that gets matched. So we very much believe in empowering our young folks and giving them some incentives. Again, when we go back to the different studies on our young men in the cities, in the urban environments, is that we have young men literally making decisions to become that low end person in this drug organization because they can't, buy lunch. They can't maybe buy a pair of sneakers or some clothes or something like it's not a whole lot of money that's getting these young folks into these criminal behaviors.
Okay, so you guys, now let me get this straight. You guys are in the inner city, urban Philadelphia,
Right.
Yeah.
and you're giving uh, college level scholarships, mentoring, cash, economics. How do you do that? I mean, how do
That
you? How is
so
that possible? How is
so
that possible when statistics say that these kids are designed or prepared right now to either have a minimum wage job or be in jail?
Well, we really have to rest on our national founders. We're talking about brothers like Mayor Dave Dinkins, who just passed away. We're talking about Jackie Robinson. But we have brothers that had the forward vision to know that an organization like this was needed. And so our national chair, Tommy Dortch, and the other brothers at the national level, they are putting their work in, and they are delivering nationally millions of dollars so that chapters like ours can tap into it, so that we can have these resources to help our youth. So it's a collective effort. The salvation of the Black community, it is too big for any one person. And I'm not saying that the 100 can stop everything, but the 100 is absolutely solving problems, and it is a great infrastructure for other men to get connected. So those brothers that's out there in the Philadelphia area, we are looking for good brothers of good mindset. You understand there's a problem out here, and you're willing to put some time and effort and even a couple of your dollars and to help us to change the lives of these young folks.
Okay, now
Now
we're going to
I
go.
want to step in. Can I just step in and
Yes, go
say,
ahead.
when Joel describes that, there's going to be brothers in the community who want to step up, but they may have some anxiety, and that anxiety is, I don't know how to do this. I may not do this the right way. Well, like anything else, you're welcome in our chapter. You're welcome. And think about yourself, Vincent. When you came into the chapter, I like to think that you were embraced. I remember the first day I met you. I remember the first day I met you. And
Maximilian's Barbershop.
that's right. And I had to find out how I did in impressing you about who we are and what we do. And your response to me was, yeah, I really like this. But it wasn't so much that as much as it was a connection that I made with you and how I made you feel welcome, that we would take you by the hand, introduce you to other brothers, and expose you to young people who you really want to help and show you how to do it. And when we multiply that, when we duplicate that throughout the Black community, our doors are open for those honorable brothers to step up and do the same thing that you did, which results in you growing without even being at a national conference, with you growing to say, I want you guys to come on my TV show, and I want everybody in the community to know what we are doing. And I appreciate that.
Well, we're going to take a break, and come back. And I want to I'm going to introduce people to the man who recruited me. Although Fred did embrace me, but we're going to talk about the guy who recruited me, twisted my arm. But before we do that, Joel,
Twisted your arm.
yeah, we'll talk about that. Too. Well, it was more like a headlock, but
Well, he's a dynamite brother though. He did it with love. He did it with love.
yeah, that was the most loving headlock I've ever had. But we're gonna go to break. But Joel, quick, how can people reach the 100 Black Men Philadelphia?
The easiest way to get in contact with us is through our website at www.100blackmenphilly.org. That's the easiest way. And after the break, we can give the number, or actually the phone number.
Yes, we'll do that right after the break.
Yeah,
So,
after the break.
so we'll see everybody in 1 minute, 10 seconds. And we are now talking to a very successful model in mentoring children in their direction. I'm Vincent Squire with Eric Dawson. We'll be right back.
You opened a small business. That's a great way to have generational wealth. If you're a minority business, you may be struggling to keep your head above water. Why? In 2019, the Black community spent $1.5 trillion because the Black dollar lifespan, 28 days Asian communities, 19 days Jewish communities, 6 hours a month in the Black communities. Major brands target the Black media, TV, and radio. That's why Blacks are brand shoppers. That's why they get a big slice of that $1 trillion pie. Your business needs exposure. You got quotes from cable networks and local radio. They charge a lot of money for a little exposure. Networking and social media is a full-time job to get part-time money. Let's look at a successful Black business model. Remember Soul Train? It was a new Black TV show that Johnson Cosmetics increased the exposure of Afro Sheen and made billions of dollars for Bobby Johnson. Where are you gonna find a good show for a low price? We have a talk show called What You Got to Say. What You Got to Say is a Black-owned talk show streaming live on YouTube channels, Facebook Live. What You Got to Say has a diverse audience from 18 to 62 years old, and their gross income range from $32,000 to $122,000 a year. That exposure will get you a good slice of the $1.5 trillion. Tell us about your business. May be able to get on our Black-owned spotlight. In 4 weeks, your business can go from surviving to thriving. To find out how you can get what's yours, email sales@squiresignage.com. They're waiting to hear what you got to say.
Now, I've got the 100 Black Men of Philadelphia chapter. I've got Fred Whiting. I've got Maximilian A.J. Wells. I got brother Joel Wilson. Some good brothers from the 100 Black Men. Now, we were talking about recruiting and how I got in. I want to introduce you to the man who put me in the headlock. Max, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. How you doing, Vince?
All right. Tell them how you wrote me in and how long it took.
Uh, it's funny to think back on when it was and how it happened, but I'm thankful that I had good leaders in my life to be able to, spot good brothers, good sound brothers, to be instrumental in the community. But had years of meeting you, and you were instrumental in helping me open my business, Vince. And you did all the grunt work for me. I never asked you to do anything. You just took the reins and helped me in everything.
You're my brother and I love you. I do anything for you.
I know that, man. But 33 different miraculous things happened when I started the business. And a lot had to do with you and your encouragement and inspiration. So I've watched you through the years and I knew what you're capable of. So when the opportunity came and I had you in the chair, it's not a better opportunity than when you get my chair that I'm going to talk about the 100 Black men and what's needed in the community. I was fortunate enough to have great fathers, stepfathers, and a grandfather. My father was a Q, and good image, good image in the community.
Yeah.
My grandfather was an Alpha, which was another excellent person and Black person in the community that I had a good mentor from. And then I had a stepfather that was a Kappa. So I had strong Black role models in my future, in my past. And by you being in the chair, man, I could see a lot of those qualities within you. So, and as guys come through in the chair, I look for guys with those kind of qualities that are the leaders. And I know in our community, we're always starving for somebody to be a good mentor in our community, somebody that can take the lead and, help out and step up and be consistent, be heartfelt, be extremely talented, intelligent, consistent, have street wit, and be spiritually gifted. I look for gifts in a person too. It's outside of all that, you still need to be grounded in God. So I knew you had a lot of that in you also. But one of the greatest things I found out about you is your consistency. And if you make a mistake, that you will come back and jump back in on board and try to straighten out to the best of your ability. And that's one of the things I liked about you the most. But I'm thankful to have you, man.
You see me make a lot of mistakes during my life, and I love you,
All
brother.
of us, all of us.
So gentlemen, here's the question: are those the qualities that you look for when you're recruiting children and men?
So
Well,
on the youth side, there's really no quality. We're sort of taking youth where they are. They're going to come with different things. If they're willing to, I guess the quality is, are you willing to come to the program? So if you're willing to come to the program, for one. Number two, follow our directions, and we have some understanding. Like, some youth is going to take a little bit more conversation, a little bit more, individual attention for them to adopt that. But I think we got about a 98% success rate getting people to be willing to accept that. And then on the for the men that we're looking for, it's not that difficult. There's certain things that Black men do that will sort of give you a good fit. I'll give you some examples. So if you are a Black man and you frequent Black bookstores and you read Black books, chances are you're going to be a great fit. If you're a Black man and let's say you may be a coach, and you're not just a coach that puts winning over the moral development of the youth, but if the moral is the core of your coaching, then you're going to be a great fit with the 100. If you are a Black man and you are a husband and a father, and you are really trying to take care of your family, and you're trying to plan a better life for them, then you are a great fit for us. If you are a Black business owner and you've been donating to the community for years, and no one has to twist your arm, you just understand that innately is what you should do, then you are a great fit for the 100.
So, okay, Fred, what do you look for when men come up and they want to volunteer? I mean, because let's face it, we've had some men volunteer to help young boys, and now they've filed bankruptcy because they're all being sued.
well, first thing we have to do is to make sure that they're okay with the state of Pennsylvania. So every volunteer that comes on board has to fill out or complete a criminal history and a child abuse check. That's number one. Okay. Once they get through that hurdle, then we have to interview them. Simply because you're a good looking guy doesn't mean you're coming into this chapter to volunteer or do anything else. You have to go through a process. And usually it is composed of a guy like me, a guy like Joe Wilson, or two brothers who are immersed and steeped and the values of the chapter, and to sit down and talk with this person. As we talk with this person, that's why we do it in pairs, that if one person misses something, the other person will pick it up. But after the conversation is over, we have a pretty good idea if this is a good fit for you, a good fit for you. And we also, this is an exchange. We know that you're interviewing us too. We want to answer all of your questions about what your obligation is when you come in here. Because I don't want anybody coming in here and saying, oh, I thought this was for me, but it's not really for me. That's our fault. That's our fault because we didn't do a good enough job up front, thoroughly explaining the commitment that is needed to help these young men.
And one of the things too that we look for brothers who are seeking, men who are seeking membership in an organization, is they have to put in some volunteer hours. They have to volunteer with the chapter. They could volunteer in our Saturday Leadership Academy. They could volunteer with one of the committees. Brother Joe Alston runs the Parent Academy. They can volunteer there. Currently, we're looking for them to put in at least 6 hours of volunteer time to show that they actually have an interest in what we're doing. And we have committees for each of the pillars that was mentioned earlier, and they could volunteer for any, with any of the committee chairs to help out with what they're doing.
And the
Now,
five
when
pillars?
we wait a minute, when we look at those volunteers, I got to say this: there's certain things that we look at. Do you show up on time? Do you leave early? Do you give me the woulda, coulda, shoulda speech? Okay. Do you come with a sincere effort to commit yourself to these young men? We're very serious about this, Vincent. Very serious about this because there but by the grace of God go I.
Yeah.
Okay. There but by the grace of God. And this is somebody's child. And just like you have children, Joel has children, I have children, they are my most precious product. And if I'm going to turn this precious product over to somebody, I got to be sure that that person is going to love them, not like I can, but come pretty doggone close to the commitment. So it's very important that these brothers know that we're serious. And if you are serious, let me talk about you.
Oh, here we go.
You were on time. You were on time. When we meet, you're early. I even talked to you about that. You always bring something new to the table and you bring ideas. Now, those are basic things of accountability that we look for in a brother. Basic.
Well, it causes Joel to pull his hair out. Oh, I'm sorry. See, he's bald now. Those are my ideas. He's like, Vincent, shut up.
Okay. So when you come to the table, you bring something, not necessarily money, but you bring other things that are that show your commitment, emotional stability and commitment. Those are the things that we look for.
And Vince was the cleanest dressed brother on a Saturday morning that I've ever seen.
On a Saturday morning.
And he has a great sense of humor also.
Well, listen, we're going to wrap this up. So, Joe Wilson, tell us real quick, what are you offering our young black men when they come there? What can they get out of the Wandering?
So the programs that we have going right now, we have the Saturday Leadership Academy, which is for our young men, grades 1st through 12th, and they're broken up into the different age groups. That's every first and third Saturday of the month from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And then in January, we're launching 3 national programs. All of our national programs are actually co-ed, so they are for both boys and girls. So one program is called Junior Investment Program. This is for young folks from 6th grade to 12th grade. They're going to work in teams like basketball, only different. So they're going to be competing against each other, trying to build the largest stock portfolio possible. Each team is going to get a virtual $100,000. They'll be able to do live stock trades, and they have 6 months to grow their portfolio. The winning team nationally that grows the largest amount, they're going to win $3,000. Again, young folks, 6th grade to 12th. That's one program, Junior Investment Program. Second one, hands-on banking. Hands-on banking, emphasis on learning the banking industry and then creating bank accounts. And they're going to learn business, and they're going to form mock businesses and create a pitch. And that pitch will go up to nationals. If you win nationally hands-on banking, you win $2,000. So this is money. Now, if you participate in any of those programs I mentioned, you're going to get a stock account. So at the end of your program, whether you win any of the big prizes or not, you're going to get a stock account. If you happen to be the team that goes to nationals to represent the chapter, you're going to get laptops. Our last program, which is actually for college students, is called Sophomore Scholars. So this is for freshmen and sophomore, primarily in any type of business related major. So if you're in any of those majors, what we're going to do is we're going to get you ready for your internships, for corporate level internships. And then we have everyone in the program will actually be applying for a summer internship at Wells Fargo. So that's just one of the companies. And then we have other companies like Enterprise Car Rental, Amazon. We have other companies that the college students will be able to apply for. So we're getting them ready because the feedback nationals, and this is nationwide, the feedback nationals has received is that many of our college students, although they're in college, they're not ready with their writing skills, their speaking skills, their interpersonal relationships in a business environment. Some of them have not learned the importance of showing up on time, dressing the part. And so we do all these things. So again, you can catch us online, www.100blackmenphilly.org, phone number 267-238-2900. That is 267-238-2900.
Okay, we're going to go to break, and I'm hoping my producers caught all that so that they can post it at the end as well. So we'll be back with final thoughts in 1 minute, 10 seconds. I'm Vincent Squire, and I'm here with Mr. ADOS, Eric Dawson.
You opened a small business. That's a great way to have generational wealth. If you're a minority business, you may be struggling to keep your head above water. Why? In 2019, the Black community spent $1.5 trillion because the Black dollar lifespan, 28 days Asian communities, 19 days Jewish communities, 6 hours a month in the Black communities. Major brands target the Black media, TV, and radio. That's why Blacks are brand shoppers. That's why they get a big slice of that $1 trillion pie. Your business needs exposure. You got quotes from cable networks and local radio. They charge a lot of money for a little exposure. Networking and social media is a full-time job to get part-time money. Let's look at a successful Black business model. Remember Soul Train? It was a new Black TV show that Johnson Cosmetics increased the exposure of Afro Sheen and made billions of dollars for Bobby Johnson. Where are you gonna find a good show for a low price? We have a talk show called What You Got to Say. What You Got to Say is a Black-owned talk show streaming live on YouTube channels, Facebook Live. What You Got to Say has a diverse audience from 18 to 62 years old, and their gross income range from $32,000 to $122,000 a year. That exposure will get you a good slice of the $1.5 trillion. Tell us about your business. May be able to get on our Black-owned spotlight. In 4 weeks, your business can go from surviving to thriving. To find out how you can get what's yours, email sales@squiresignage.com. They're waiting to hear what you got to say.
Hey guys, welcome back to What You Got to Say. We're here with gentlemen from the 100 Black Men of the Philadelphia chapter. I got to tell you, Vincent, and here with my co-host Vincent Squire, I got to tell you, I'm very impressed. I mean, I've seen the logo, I've heard about 100 Black Men, but to actually sit in and talk with you guys and get a deeper understanding of what you do. I have a.
What do you mean talk with them? We didn't get a word in.
We're on fire. We're on fire, man. We're on a mission. We're on a mission.
Well, that,
Okay.
you know what, and that's what's required. It's got to be a mission, right? You know,
Yeah.
things. I know you asked me to close it out, Vincent, so I'll hold this for the closeout.
Okay, so final thoughts. Let's start with Max, 25 words or less. Why do we need more people in the 100 Black Men? especially in Philadelphia.
So for our kids' sake and what they're dealing with on the street, and watching 3 and 5 and 6-year-olds getting shot is just ridiculous. And we need stronger images, people that are going to be heartfelt in what they do and have an image and can run the distance and be able to stand with that child as long as needed. And not only with the child, but each man in 100, and just embrace each person in love.
Amen. Brother, I'll let the president go. President Joel.
So I'm going to leave it with the motto: what they see is what they'll be. 100 Black Men in Philadelphia.
All right. And Brother Whiten.
Well, I'm going to take the little bit of time that Joel didn't use and
Oh, here we
say,
go.
and I'm going to say, it's very, very important to understand that what's difficult for one is easy for a group. Okay, a lot of heavy lifting is needed in this chapter, and we have been lifting with a few good men. If we had more quality men, this mission would not be as cumbersome or overwhelming. So I would encourage everybody in the sound of my voice who is committed to helping young Black men improve their station in life to join our team, to join this team to help us lift this and change this thing a lot easier than what we are. Research indicates that out of 100%, 10% of the men do the work. And I'd like to raise that to at least 50 or 60%. You hear that, Eric?
I do.
All right. All right. That's a hidden plug for you, sir.
Oh, no,
I think he's trying to recruit you.
Pitch coming across the plate.
Well, I want to say this. Mary Shelley said in her book, Frankenstein, I mean, incredible book written by a 14-year-old girl. But she said one thing that really sticks in my mind: nothing tranquilizes the busy mind like a sense of purpose. And what we're finding with our young Black men, without a Black father figure in the house
Amen.
and a majority women dominated households, is that we've got young, talented, brilliant minds without a sense of purpose. I implore everybody, as Fred said, the sound of my voice, to look into a chapter in your neighborhood of the 100 Black Men. I employ everyone at the sound of my voice to look at volunteering, because many hands do make light work. I employ everybody to take an actual account and stock in your most precious resource, your child. And as Eric said in the beginning, we need to stop beating down the young Black men and lifting them up, because they are our future. And that's the only way that we can actually beat the corporation of white supremacy. It's going to take those young men, just like a lot of change came from a lot of young people with the Black Lives Matter movement. We need to harness the energy of our youth, point them in the right direction for their success. Eric?
There are a couple things that you guys said that really resonated with me. And what I say to Vincent all the time is this: we are battling a socially transmitted disease, right? And so, Joel, when you said what they see is what they'll be, that is part of the disease, right? That a lot of them don't travel too far outside of where they're born. And so, what they see, right? They don't see doctors and lawyers and engineers, and they don't see that. Um, you know, and when you guys were talking about the principles, as we're trying to figure them out, I went in and Googled them, and I think these are proper ways to attack this disease through mentoring, education, health and wellness, right, and economic development and leadership development. But we have to be committed, right? We have to be committed to doing it, because and there's something else that you said, Fred, early on. You said that these children or men even are built up and then let down, They're built up and then they're let down. So that is part of what they see. And if we can't give them that level of commitment, then all we're doing is contributing to that socially transmitted disease, right? I applaud you guys for the work that you do. We just have to, we have to keep at it. We have to keep chipping away at it. And we have to figure out how to not just enroll more people to assist, but then get them actively assisting, because it is a battle. I mean, I see it every day, and we see the casualties, right? We see the collateral damage on our streets, and so I applaud you guys. I think you guys did a great job, folks. If you're watching, please, Joe, give the contact information again. Reach out, see how you can get involved, right? It's one thing to paint Black Lives Matter on streets. It's another thing to act like Black lives really do matter.
Well, on that note, be good to each other, be kind to each other, wash your hands, keep your distance, stay safe. There's a disease that's going out there right now that is killing us at a disproportionate rate. So, on behalf of my co-host, Eric Dawson, I want to thank the 100 Black Men of Philadelphia for giving us their time on a busy Saturday.
Thank you, guys.
And my brother, I see you got Mom over there. I love you, honey.
Listen, I hope they learn to join the NAACP, the Urban League, and other things as well.
Yes. So, I'm Vincent Squire. God bless you. If it's God's will, we'll be back to hear what you got to say.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
You opened a small business. That's a great way to have generational wealth. If you're a minority business, you may be struggling to keep your head above water. Why? In 2019, the Black community spent $1.5 trillion because the Black dollar lifespan, 28 days Asian communities, 19 days Jewish communities, 6 hours a month in the Black communities. Major brands target the Black media, TV, and radio. That's why Blacks are brand shoppers. That's why they get a big slice of that $1 trillion pie. Your business needs exposure. You got quotes from cable networks and local radio. They charge a lot of money for a little exposure. Networking and social media is a full-time job to get part-time money. Let's look at a successful Black business model. Remember Soul Train? It was a new Black TV show that Johnson Cosmetics increased the exposure of Afro Sheen and made billions of dollars for Bobby Johnson. Where are you going to find a good show for a low price? We have a talk show called What You Got to Say. What You Got to Say is a Black-owned talk show streaming live on YouTube channels, Facebook Live. What You Got to Say has a diverse audience from 18 to 62 years old, and their gross income range from $32,000 to $122,000 a year. That exposure will get you